Thank you.
We have issues as far as the hedge of protection, one of which is that the federal government is planning to pass on like federal rules and regulations regarding like EPA, repair, paint, and painting rule, the lead in that. Then also you have the police fireman monopoly, the bargaining bill, actually trying to put all the firefighters, the policemen under one union. How would you plan as governor to be able to protect us as a shield from
Well, I certainly don't believe in strengthening unions generally. I understand that they're there, whether it's the teachers union, the firefighters, the police, other public unions. They have a role to play, but consolidating their power, increasing their authority is not a good idea. You know, I think there should be rivalries. Right now we have the PBA, the Policemen's Benevolent Association, and the Fraternal Order of Police. They're competitors. One of them has endorsed me, and the other one's endorsed somebody else. And in this case, the Democrat, Alex Sink, you might imagine. And you know, I get along with the guys in the PBA. They're the ones that did that. The FOP has endorsed me. But the truth is that by the nature of a union, it's always, the leadership at least, as good men and women as they are, they're principally about money and benefits. And right now, we cannot pay everything they want. I mean, I understand why they want pay increases. I would like one too, but you can't do that. I mean, we are going to see at least a $6 billion hole in Florida state budgets at the beginning of next year of my administration. It was only $3 billion this year, in case you're curious, out of a budget of less than 70, somewhere closer to $60 billion. And those numbers are staggering, not as big as the feds, but those are still big numbers. We have a balanced budget state, thank goodness. We're not like California. We don't want to go the way of California. I got endorsed by Mitt Romney yesterday, and that's one of the things he said. He said, you know, we don't want to see, and I don't want to see Florida go the way of California. And I don't. None of us want that. We want a state that's going to be responsible. And, you know, the truth is, like in education, the bill that Governor Christ vetoed, I would have signed and then corrected it. I think there are problems with it, but I would have signed that bill. We need to have merit pay for teachers. We need to have a strong system which says, look, we're going to reward good teachers, we're going to get our act together in our school system, and we're going to produce kids that, and we can produce them at every level of school, no matter how difficult it is at home. You know, I know it's harder for some teachers than others, but we're going to do it. We are simply going to do it.
It's a great optimistic approach, too, and being able to do that. There are standards also based on Florida regarding trying to place regulation on the agriculture, recreational, fishing, tourism, especially on the waterways within Florida. How do you plan to protect us on that?
Well, of course, restrictions are one thing, but let's put it this way. Waterways, our state is based on water.
True.
And this is such a broad topic. I know you've asked about waterways, but we need to have a governor who understands, number one, that water is the single most important issue in our state, beyond jobs. Okay? So what do we do with water? What are we talking about? We're talking about conservation, but we're also talking about quality and quantity. And we're talking about a mess in terms of the water management districts, the way each one's a bit of an independent fiefdom. Now, I have no particular qualms with one district versus the other. Most people don't study the details of this. Unfortunately, I'd look at it up close. It's like looking at somebody too close up sometimes, you know, and you see the blemishes. The reality of it is that we need to get on with new technology for desalination. And by the way, I went to a little company. I'm just diverting here to tell you this because you want your waterways clean, you want your waterways open for boating, and you want those restrictions out of there. We first need to preserve the waterways. We need to preserve the water. Most of our waterways are fed by rivers and lakes and the underground aquifer and everything else out there. There's a little company over near Tampa that produces a substance that it's about like something you'd get in putting on or a coating maybe that you'd have on a dish, you know, one of those thin saran wraps. And this coating only allows, this nanotechnology, H2O molecules to pass through it. And it's an incredible technology. They're using it now on the Water Management District roof, which is what reminded me of this, in South Florida here. And it will drop the outside temperature from 95 degrees in a day like today to 80 degrees without consuming any energy, so it's a cost saver. However, they believe, and I believe, that they can take this out, put a sheet out at sea, and because of the differential in the temperature between the water near the surface and 100 feet down or so, they can, without any electricity, without any energy, without any cost, convert salt water to fresh water, and the only cost will be delivering it. We need ideas like that to work. We need that little company to succeed, not because I want them to make money. I want us to have that technology. And that's the kind of stuff we've got to do for water. The waterways and the restrictions you're asking me about, they're all balanced issues. I'm all for boating. Boating is important. It's an industry. Fishing's an industry, as well as being recreational. I want Florida to have the beaches, the rivers, the lakes, and the streams, and the opportunities for the things that make Florida, Florida there for my children and grandchildren.
Yeah, we're Floridians. We love it, and we want to be able to continue to enjoy it. Thank you. Now, here's a question, too. This very contentious issue that took place in December was the high-speed rail.
Yes.
All right. If you're governor, how would you go with the high-speed rail?
Well, first of all, as opposed to the rail system that went up near Orlando, which is not high-speed, and it's a commuter rail, the high-speed rail has real problems of funding. Mm-hmm. It's a real money issue. Mm-hmm. Long-term, we need the high-speed rail. I think that will come about. As long as the federal government's going to fund it, I'm not going to reject the money to build some portion of it. But I will tell you today, there is no money that I can see in the foreseeable future for the state of Florida to put in any share to build it or to be able to operate it. There is no money for us to do that. And I don't believe the federal government is going to ever complete that rail without Florida's participation. So I don't know what I'm going to inherit. They're starting it already, as you know. They've got plans to dig it, and that's likely to occur. And we'll see how far it goes with their funding and their support. But I'm going to darn well make sure that we oversee the right way of it. Transportation, by the way, is very important in our state. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the high-speed rail. More important than the high-speed rail to our state is getting a transportation network linked up between our ports. The deep water ports in our state, like Everglades, Port Everglades, the ports in Miami, the ports that are all up this coast, there are 11 of them in our state, with highways and with airports. We've got the Panama Canal opening to wider vessels in 2 or 3 years. I think it's just 2 years now. And when they're open, somewhere those ships are going to go. Right now it looks like with the big cargo containers, they're more likely to head to Savannah. We've already deepened the port in Miami, but we don't have the infrastructure for all the offloading of those vessels and to be able to ship it. That means jobs for our state. It means the opportunity to have industry come in here that takes those products right straight from coming through the Panama Canal. And it means a lot to our state. So that's the kind of transportation issue that I'm most concerned about first and will be as your governor.
That's very forward-thinking. Thank you. Questions on that, too. This is a little bit closer to home because thank you for even mentioning the Panama Canal and the implications that could happen in a positive way. Bringing it straight down home, what is your view on Amendment 4, hometown democracy?
I'm very much opposed to Amendment 4. It would be so restrictive. Okay. That was an easy answer, right? Well, we could never grow our state the way we want to grow it. And I'm not saying that all of growth plans are right. Since I've been a member of the Florida Cabinet, I guess most people know this. A lot of people don't know that the 4 elected office holders vote as a group. We're a unique state. I'm the only attorney general in the country that shares power with the governor right now in some areas, and this is one of them. And we vote on things like this. And the truth of the matter is that we've got problems that we need to be concerned about in regard to this growth, and I voted against some growth amendments. But those are decisions primarily at the local level. They ought to be made and adjusted by your local governments. That's who you elect. And if we start having referendums on all of them, it'll tie our state up in knots forever, and we're not going to come out of this recession.
No, it's definitely a bill that is has the name that's deceptive. Bringing
it's
home
very deceptive.
Oh, yeah.
Very deceptive.
Well, thank you for sharing that.